Yeah, good on you, mate. Well, these are the images that will forever be looked back on in history. Former US President Donald Trump in the middle of his rally in Pennsylvania with what appears to be the bullet that grazed his ear whizzing behind him.
Incredible, isn't it? And we are now joined by the man who captured that image, New York Times photographer Doug Mills in Milwaukee, USA. Hey, Doug, thanks for your time this morning. I mean, what a moment you captured just as the chaos unfolded.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. It was not the day I was expecting, that's for sure. And I'm not around guns a lot. I don't hear a lot of, I don't have a handgun, don't own one. So when I heard the pops, I really didn't know it was a gun. And it happened so fast. And when the former president, gestured to his right and the pops started coming and then he grabbed his ear and there was blood on his hand, I knew then that something was terrible. And he immediately went down and, I rushed around to the left side. That's me with the white hat on there. As the Secret Service agents completely swarmed him and covered him up. It was a sad day in America, let me tell you.
Look, it is sad. I've been following your work for a long time now, and you've been and covered many things and won many awards for it. But in the heat of this moment, what was it like for you?
Carl, it was frightening as hell, to tell you the truth, and not something I ever thought I would be in the middle of. I've covered presidents since 1983, starting back with Ronald Reagan. And one of my colleagues from AP Photos, Ron Edmonds, who recently passed away, photographed the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. And those moments flash back to me quite a bit because he and I spoke about how he reacted that day. And I remember him telling me, Doug, it just was instinct. I went forward rather than back, and I went after the story. And I felt like instincts took part of me yesterday and took over, and I ran there, even though people were yelling to get down, and all of the president's staff were yelling to get down. Secret Service were yelling at us to get down. Shots fired, get down, active shooter, everything. And I was tone deaf to it. It wasn't very smart on my part, but I was just trying to do my job, which is really to cover the presidents.
I mean, Doug, you're in the middle of this. It's caused global headlines, obviously. This is a moment in history that you were a part of. And as you say, not knowing how to react, but just taking your instinct. I mean, you can see everyone puzzled by what was happening as these shots just kept being repeatedly fired. No one knew where they were coming from, what was happening. And then Donald Trump rises with that fist in the air like that.
Oh, I know. When he, I thought he had been shot when he went down, and I couldn't see him behind the podium anymore. And so when I ran around and I didn't know, the worst things come to your mind. Is he alive? Is he okay? And then once I started thinking about, okay, having covered presidents for many years, how are they going to get him off the stage now? So my first instinct was to go to the stairs closest to the stage for him to go out, where the SUV that was taking him away. And so I ran over there, and sure enough, he popped up, and they held him up, and I thought, oh my gosh, he's alive. It was a wonderful feeling knowing that he was alive. And then when he, was trying to be surrounded by the Secret Service, and he just, gave out that defiant fist pump. And it was that brief moment of he was just, so angry, so pissed off about it. And then then there was like that brief moment right after, a couple frames later, where he was like in complete shock. I mean, he was looking out into the audience like, and then you could see the blood coming down from his ear, and I saw it on his mouth, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is worse than I thought. And luckily, by the time he got to the hospital, some of the staff were saying that he was okay, and that he was going to be fine. We didn't know if he'd been shot anywhere else. And there was, quite a bit of controversy, as you can imagine, on X and Twitter, just the whole conspiracy theories that he fell and hit his head and off glass from the teleprompter. And, and I was getting calls from my office from the New York Times and reporters asking me, hey, what's going on? What did you see? And I said, well, I can tell you by looking at the pictures that I just sent into the office that he was definitely grazed by a bullet. Because he reacted, he grimaced, and then he grabbed his ear, and there was blood on his ear, and then he went down. And then when he got up, his ear was very damaged. So, you know, anybody who's cut their ear before knows that it bleeds a lot with your ear. So, and that blood was, you know, pretty evident.
It's
frightening day.
It's an incredible shot to capture
Mm.
on film with the bullet moving at that speed. I mean, when did you know you had it?
Oh, Carl, it was about 10 minutes backstage when I was sending the pictures to the editor, and you know, I said I got all the, you know, the first thing that came to mind were the pictures of him, you know, raising his fist and showing that he was bloody, and then I thought, oh my gosh, I remember taking pictures when he was talking and when the shots fired, because everything, you know, you go into kind of a bit of a shock and your adrenaline's going. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of emotions around you. And I thought, I think I was taking pictures when it happened, because I remember hitting the button. And so I sent him into an editor directly from my Sony camera. And I said, I'm sending you in these now. Can you please look really closely, please, to make sure you can see that he was actually shot. And then 5 minutes later, I got a call from our editor saying, you won't believe this. You actually have a picture of the bullet streaming behind his head. And I was in total shock. I was like, you're kidding. Oh my gosh. So they said, okay, these are directly from the camera. These are what are called JPEG files. So the next thing I did was open up my laptop and ingest the raw files. So, you know, anybody who would ever question it, you know, it's all there. All the data's there. There's no manipulation. There's nothing. They were straight out. So, you know, because, you know, we're in the business, you know, we're accused of fake news. There's nothing fake about this. There was nothing that, but, you know, raw images that were coming out. And,
well, Doug, it's, you know, your image is part of history, and you're incredibly professional during the worst of circumstances. We appreciate you being on our show. We'll see you on the campaign trail. Thank you, mate.
Thank you, Doug.
Well, she has made history as the first